really quick video to explain what my own personal journey was in terms of being vegetarian for much of my life and then deciding to go vegan about 7 years ago. I basically realised exactly what the reality of the dairy industry is, which basically consisted of a cow having to be artificially inseminated. When I first heard of this term, I had no idea what that meant. Without questioning it as a vegetarian, I thought that cows had to eat grass and therefore they produced milk, and it was the most natural thing that we ever got given by a cow, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Artificial insemination, I found, was actually a process that every single dairy cow will go through in terms of a farmer who will insert his arm right up into her rectum to feel for the neck of her cervix. Once he can feel for the neck of her cervix, he'll basically, with his other hand, holding the artificial insemination gun, insert the semen of a bull into her vagina, basically held together in a device called a rape rack. Industry accepted used term, narrow chute-like device that holds her together so she doesn't kick and she doesn't try to get away from this pretty much a sexual intrusion. And I had no idea that the milk I was enjoying or the cheese I was enjoying was coming from that process. To add to that, one of the other things I didn't know was that the actual calves, when they're born, if it's a male calf, it unfortunately has a really short life. Basically, if it's a male, it's likely to be shot fairly soon after it's born. And if it isn't shot soon after it's born, it's sent to be slaughtered to be veal, which is a baby cow. And if it's a female calf, a dairy heifer, then she's separated from her mother, as is the male. They're separated within 24 to 48 hours, never to see their mother again. They're fed artificial milk replacements after the initial colostrum. Then the female heifer will carry the same fate as her mother. At the tender age of 15 months, she'll also be made pregnant. Something else that the dairy industry doesn't really want us to know. I myself, as a vegetarian, I had no idea that this is what was happening. To add to that, I didn't know also that the calves are also dehorned and debudded, and this is without any anesthesia, without any painkillers. This is what happens. Something that shocked me as a vegetarian. I had no idea that, these were the realities that were going on. The cow, the dairy cow, she's attached to a machine. There's no farmer that goes and milks her by hand at 4 o'clock in the morning. The ideas that are put into our mind by the media and the dairy industry. She's milked by a vacuum, a vacuum that attaches itself to her teats. And through this process, she's attached to this for about 3 to 5 hours a day. I mean, all sorts of infections occur. One of the most common and the second biggest reason for dairy cows to be culled is an infection of the udder called mastitis. I had no idea that the impact of constant impregnation to separation from her calf to lactation, being milked by a machine, and that constant cycle for about 4 or 5 times in her short lifespan has on a cow, and this is literally what a cow goes through. Her lifespan is reduced significantly from 20 to 25 years to only 4 to 5 years because of this cycle. Again, something that we're not told. And as a vegetarian, my eyes began to open that I really wanted nothing to do with that pain that goes in that glass of milk or in that slice of beloved cheese. Then of course there's eggs and the egg industry. I had no idea that the average lifespan of a hen is about 8 years, and the average lifespan of a hen within the egg industry is reduced to 1 to 2 years. And this is because of the torturous manipulation and hybridization process that we put hens through just so that they can produce about 300 eggs per year, which is wholly unnatural. I mean, naturally they only lay eggs in the spring, and that's about 12 to 17 eggs per year. In the egg industry, they're actually laying about 300 eggs per year. They're using about 30 times more calcium than the whole skeletal system just by laying 1 egg. The impact on their bodies is immensely torturous and something that they have to go through over and over again. They're kept in something that we know as enriched cages. I mean, enriched cages, I found, can actually house about 40 to 80 hens. That's the equivalent of about 14 people living in a one-bedroom flat. And that's where I was getting my eggs from. And okay, then, after a while I began to buy free range. And actually, free range eggs are just a term that, put on a product to make the consumer feel less guilty for buying something that actually comes from pain and suffering. Free range eggs house hundreds of hens in small areas, and research shows that only 10% of them will actually go outside because the conditions don't allow them to go outside. They naturally don't have it in them from the manipulation and hybridization to now actually want to feel the sun on their feathers and on their backs. It's taken out of them because they've just been manipulated to that extent. So the sort of organic label and the free range label, it's just to make us feel better. And I had no idea that this is what was happening when I was consuming eggs. Then I obviously found out that, the egg is the menstrual cycle of a hen. I don't want to eat somebody else's or another being's menstrual cycle. Why would I want to eat a hen's menstrual cycle? Because ultimately that's what it is. So with all this knowledge and this research that I did and the realities that I found out and that I began to explore, I decided that I wanted nothing to do with the egg and dairy industry, and I became vegan. So I really urge vegetarians out there who perhaps believe that they don't contribute to any harm or suffering just because they consume eggs and or dairy, that in fact there is a direct link to harm and suffering of cows and of hens. Why would we as vegetarians want to contribute to that? Why not become vegan? There are so many plant-based foods out there, from milks, almond milk, rice milk, hemp milk, soya milk, oat milk. You can try all these different milks in your teas and your coffees and your hot chocolates and your cereals. There's an abundance of vegan cheeses available now, made from soya, made from coconut oil, made from cashews. You won't miss out. There's vegan pizzas, there's vegan burgers, but I'm not actually promoting fast vegan food here. But what I will say is you can abundantly healthy by just consuming ample amounts of rice, beans, pulses, nuts, seeds, lentils. You'll get all your iron, you'll get your calcium, you'll get your protein, and you won't be contributing to suffering. So thank you for listening. Join me next time. Please subscribe to my channel, Imperfectly Vegan. Follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.